you have ever been ready to take a trip and you started to feel sick, or you got the sniffles or the snuffles, and you're worried that this sickness might ruin your vacation, this episode is going to change the game for you.
Absolutely.
What's up, friends? Welcome to another episode of Optimize and Thrive.
Hello, everyone. This is a super exciting episode for anybody who travels, which is pretty much everybody, because I think it's going to change your entire experience.
Yeah, and I think not only for the pre-prep, the making sure if you're starting to feel sick or you don't want to get sick or you're prone to get sick while you travel, which I know a lot of people do.
A lot of people do, yeah.
This is going to be very helpful, but this is also going to be really helpful if you want some strategies to go on vacation and really maximize your fun and minimize the negative impact. And I'm talking about the stuff that we all hate when we go on vacation, which is feeling like we were overeating or over drinking, or our sleep gets disrupted. And so I don't know about you, but I've come back from some vacations and I have gained 5, 7, 8, sometimes 10 pounds over a 10, 12-day period.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's me in Texas with eating all the tacos and the amazing salsas and queso. And yeah, that's 5 pounds right there,
Yeah.
7 days in Texas.
Oh, totally. I think the most I ever gained on a trip was when we traveled to like Germany and Prague and that, and it was just nothing but beer and schnitzels. It was just like
potatoes.
It was fatty meat, endless steins of beer.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
potatoes,
huge too.
Fried potatoes. So it was very fatty.
The best. It's so good, delicious.
But this is the episode for you. So we're going to cover a number of things. So again, we're going to cover what do you do before the trip to really set yourself up for success and protect your immune system, and also set yourself up to not gain that weight, not gain that bloat, feel and look absolutely fantastic. So if you are thinking about if you have a beach vacation or a tropical vacation or a pool vacation coming up, we're going to drop the secret sauce, okay? Because and this is not theoretical. This is coming like this is straight fresh from the experiment N=1 experiment of my last trip to Hawaii, which was just a few weeks ago. And I came back from that trip leaner.
That's crazy. And you went hard too, I bet. Like you enjoyed the heck out of yourself.
If I could show you just the Mai Tai bill alone from the hotel, it was impressive.
Was it impressive? Yeah.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I was going to say we're always thinking about like how can we create these amazing partnerships? You might have to create like a Mai Tai partnership. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Mai Tai. I don't drink Mai Tais unless I'm in Hawaii.
Oh yeah. Sense.
The first time I feel like I even had a Mai Tai was like the first time I went to Hawaii, I think.
It's perfect, actually. It's a perfect drink.
It's a perfect drink for Hawaii.
Yeah, it is.
I think the margarita is the superior.
Oh, agreed.
The superior drink by a substantial margin. But when you're in Hawaii, a Mai Tai is just magnificent.
Yeah, it's like tropical, refreshing.
It is. And I do think the pineapple juice is very like rejuvenating, hydrating. You can't even really get super drunk on Mai Tais, I feel like.
Well, probably because you're so full.
Yeah.
Full of juice.
Yeah, it's like half juice.
Yeah.
And I'm like used to drinking like a Manhattan or something where it's just like all booze.
Although being a previous bartender, you definitely can make a strong Mai Tai if you really want to.
I feel conspiracy theory here, but sometimes at those hotel pool bars.
Oh.
It's
mostly juice.
I got a pro tip, which is always order a side shot of rum.
So pro.
To add into your drink yourself, or just slam the shot of rum. I was like, that's actually a really good pro tip. I was impressed by that. I never thought about doing that. But yeah, all my talk aside, I think let's kind of step back and think about, you have that vacation coming up. And this also really happened to me is that the day before, essentially, I was going to leave, or in the morning of, I started to feel really sick.
Yeah.
And I started to get a sore throat. I started to get congested. And here I was like ready to go on this tropical vacation, so excited, and I started to feel sick. And so part of the protocol that we're going to share today and go through was really what I used very successfully to avoid getting sick.
Yeah. And I think if you have access to, we're going to go through all the things you were able to do before you left, and then the things you took with you as well. Yep. And I would say, so I did for Barry like a high dose IV push of glutathione. It was like about 2,000 milligrams. Actually, it was a little more, 2,400. It's a really high dose of glutathione, which is an incredible super antioxidant that your immune system absolutely loves. So I would highly recommend, if you have access to a place that offers these, or find a place, because many regenerative or longevity or anti-aging or vitamin clinics, they offer those now. And so if you are coming down with something, I would absolutely add that to your regimen before you go.
For sure.
Go get it done.
Yeah, and thank you so much for making that
You
happen,
are
because you got the
welcome.
emergency text, and
Yes,
I was like,
right.
oh man, I feel something coming on. I need the miracle magic of the glutathione to come save me. Yeah, so it was part of my routine. So I
Yeah.
took that zinc lozenge, which was awesome, and that was the night before, the morning of, when I got to the airport, halfway through the flight, and then when I got there, I popped another zinc lozenge. So the zinc lozenge was rocking the whole time as a base, and then also used a couple throat sprays. So used that B propolis, the beast, which is
It's very good.
very
Immune
good.
system
Yep,
booster.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then also the biofilm disruptor,
Yeah. Yep. The biocidin.
the biocidin.
Yeah, biocidin's incredible. It's a really powerful combination of herbs that if you're looking to kill something, and whether it's viral or bacterial, it should be part of your regimen. Definitely. It's an extremely strong blend. And it works even better if you can dose it more often. It's going to be more powerful. Some people sometimes think of herbs like they do medication. So they're thinking I need one. If you're taking a Tylenol, I might take one or two, but see, if you're really getting sick, you might want to dose biocidin all throughout the day. It just spray.
Exactly.
Spray.
That's
Yeah.
right. I hit it hard,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
all these things, you're going to use it more than maybe you would if you were just doing it preventatively, because I was in the midst of fighting something off. So yeah, I was spraying that thing. Instead of 3 sprays, it was 5 sprays, and I was doing that quite frequently.
Yeah.
And again, like before, during, and after the flight, the night before leading up. So all of these things comboed together, and it was amazing what a difference, even just that simple routine, glutathione added in.
Yeah.
And then I had some herbal immune support as well, a chewable that you gave me.
Oh, yeah.
That was not terrible tasting, but it wasn't great tasting.
Oh, yeah, the Conjuplex.
The Conjuplex.
Yeah, the Conjuplex. Yeah.
So the Conjuplex, again, threw in the mix, and that combination knocked whatever I had out. And so by the time I landed in Hawaii, I actually felt fantastic. And that morning, when I got up, I felt much better than I had the night before and that morning before, which is like when I started to notice it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing considering, because we know that when you're on a plane, you're impacted, right? Radiation from the plane, we have more exposure. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but like it's a real thing, right? It's going to tax your immune system a little bit. And then, my sister calls it the germ bus, right? You're on the flying germ bus and everybody, you're sharing that recirculated air. So it's a prime time to get sick. So it's a perfect time also to really do all the things that you can do to be able to preserve it.
Yeah, there was one more thing too I forgot to throw in the mix.
Yes.
So I found this interesting product. It's a carbon 60 product that comes in like a thin sublingual breath mint type delivery system. And carbon 60, again, great compound, typically comes in an oil base is where they typically are sold. But I also put that in the mix. That was one other additional element.
That's one I haven't really used.
So if you're looking to try carbon 60, or you heard about carbon 60, which can be a good addition, that product was an interesting product. And again, I like to stack things. And so I think for the purists out there who are like, how do you know out of all that stuff, how do you know what was the key factor? And my answer to that is I don't. I would just use them all again, because they all, like, the combination worked really, really well.
Yes.
I don't know. Sometimes there isn't one thing. We're sometimes looking for this synergistic cascade, and one thing's typically not going to get it done. Let's stack some stuff together that are all synergistic and cover our bases in a situation like this.
Yeah, so true. And I think we have to think of natural medicine that way. And sometimes if you're coming from a background of mostly being treated in a traditional medical space where you start one thing and maybe you're on that one thing for a month, herbs, vitamins, because they work together so well, and often they support the action of each other. So that's why you'll see a lot of herbal blends that They all are for maybe they have an element of them that supports your immune system, boosts your white cells, but then they also kill off viruses or kill off bacteria. And because when you're thinking about, say, a plant, for instance, it is to survive in the wild, right? It's developing all these resources to be able to fight things off. And all of those thousands of chemicals, we call them phytochemicals, come into the plant. They work together. And so it's actually from a natural medicine perspective, it actually really makes sense to combo a lot of different things. And I think for people who are used to taking many supplements, that's great. They're good with it. Yeah, they're like, yeah, cool. Give me all the
give me all the stuff. That's what I'm always like. Give me more.
Give me this.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple other things I'll just throw out there. Bonus peptides that you could look at to boost your immune system ahead of time. I happen to have been on thymosin alpha-1 as part of my protocol already. So for some listeners who maybe know or maybe follow me on social, I had a pretty significant autoimmune disease that I've been looking to reverse using peptide therapies and a variety of other therapies, because conventional Western medicine can't cure it, can only essentially help me deal with it, which is a kind of this thrombocytopenia thing where essentially my body destroys all my platelets and I almost die and go to the hospital. And there's no really sign or symptom that I'm in a critical state and that I can fall asleep and just bleed out in the night and wake up in the morning.
Not good.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not been good. It's been happening over the last 4.5 years. I've been dealing with that. And partly where I am today was because I was going through that and because I was looking for all possible solutions and answers. And that was part of what led me into a lot of the stuff that we're now so involved in peptides and hormone replacement therapy and stuff. But for me, that was a big motivator, right? It was like getting that solved. From an immune standpoint, thymosin alpha-1, great. And there's a thymogen beta, thymogen as well. So there's a couple different peptides out there that can be used. One is thymogen, comes in a pill form, a cap form. Thymosin comes as a traditional peptide, lyophilized peptide that you're going to inject. So those are great. And there's another one I would throw out there that I have not personally put into my stack yet, but it is coming soon. An order will be going into Simple here over the weekend or on Monday for KPV. So KPV is something that I'm really excited to try. Massive, specifically around autoimmune dysregulation benefits, as well as a variety of other stuff. So KPV is a sleeper. Not a lot of people know about it, have heard about it, or used it, but I'm excited to get it into my stack, and I'm excited to report back on it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. Yeah, there's so many, and this one's newer to Simple Peptide.
I don't know how long Simple's had it or not. I just haven't tried it.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many. And really, I would say as far as peptide use, I think that it part of it depends on your own personal health journey and your goals. And then part of it also depends on the things you want to accomplish in your life. Say if you're going through the mitochondrial regenerator, say epitalon or MOTS-c, or if you're in a place where you're repairing injury, like your BPC 157, which these can also be used to support yourself. Like if you thought you were going on a big journey as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. The SS31 or a MOTS-c from a mito standpoint. The mitochondrial enhancers are just so incredible for immune support, energy support, just overall health. So for sure, those could be in the mix. There's really a lot of different tools you could use.
So many, yeah.
And then the other thing I'll talk about as part of your pre-travel regimen, and then we'll get into damage control when you're on vacation, as a GLP-1. So one of the things that I recognized right away for me personally was like a GLP-1, like a tirzepatide or retatrutide, incredible tool to use pre-trip, even if you're not on it. Let's say you weren't running tirzepatide or you weren't running a GLP. Man, I would get some and use it pre-vacation to establish a slight damper on your hunger.
It will work.
It works so incredibly well.
So I'm actually really looking forward to it next time I go to Texas. I'm gonna do tirzepatide. Yeah.
Look, this solves the problem of going on vacation and gaining weight.
It really does.
It literally will never happen to you again if you use the strategy of using a GLP prior to the trip.
Yes.
It worked so insanely well. Here's a way you can take it. Bonus pro tip if you're hardcore or you're a little bit more you're just like willing to, you're just, whatever, you're more experimental. I was experimenting with retatrutide. I've been testing and running retatrutide recently, and retatrutide is a GLP, a triple agonist or whatever. So it's not one that's newer. Not a lot of people have used it. I've been testing it against tirzepatide, which I absolutely love. If tirzepatide was a human being, I would just hug that person all the time. I'd hug them and I'd say, I love you so much.
You kidnap them. I know you would.
I
Yeah,
would stay with me, tirzepatide, forever. We're best friends.
Forever.
So like retatrutide, I've been messing around with my dose, playing with different dosing. And I miscalculated. I actually took more than I had anticipated taking.
Of the
Reta.
Okay.
The week prior to leaving. So 2 weeks out from my trip, I took more retatrutide than I had anticipated taking. And it definitely kicked in because I hadn't really found a threshold where I was getting a significant amount of craving reduction or just like hunger reduction from it. So I was like, and this is what's interesting about all of these different compounds. How you respond to one might be significantly different than how you respond to another. So tirzepatide felt very different. I responded differently to it than the retatrutide. Even though you would think they'd be similar, they really weren't in terms of my experiential feeling.
I see that with patients all the time. I would say between right now in the clinic, we've just used semaglutide and tirzepatide, but really different between the two. I would say more side effects, more nausea, more bloating with semaglutide, way less of that, better tolerated with tirzepatide. But then you have Reta, which is now coming on the scene, and there's less maybe appetite control.
Definitely less appetite control, yeah. So you definitely have less. You have less of that piece that you get from tirzepatide because the compound now acts against 3 of these receptor sites, and yet at the same time, there's some benefit to retatrutide. From a metabolic, from a muscle preservation standpoint, again, potentially even less side effects. And we'll go deep. We'll save retatrutide versus tirzepatide versus semaglutide for another episode because I've had a lot of actually interesting insights into what I think the difference between at least 2 of those compounds are. But 2 weeks out, again, if you're on a GLP or you want to be extra lean and feel like extra pool ready and feel just, I am looking and feeling my absolute best, 2 weeks out from your travel date, take your dose up slightly, or if you're not on a GLP-1, get on your GLP-1 then, because that week leading up to the week prior to your vacation, you'll have an appetite suppression effect. You'll go into a caloric deficit. So I think when I went actually left on my trip, I was just feeling really cut, really lean, just super dialed in, and that was an awesome experience to show up at vacation feeling, man, I am extra dialed. And it was like that accidental dose increase. Now I'm going to put that in as part of my pre-travel prep every single time. 2 weeks out, I'm going to be like, tiny little spike. I'm not talking a major spike, tiny little spike, whatever your baseline is. And then come into vacation feeling extra lean.
I was going to say, but just remember, I do remember the conversation of a little bit of the burping and feeling bloated before that. You have to keep in mind of if you're really bumping up your dose with one of the GLP-1s.
I wouldn't really bump it up. Yeah, I would definitely only moderately, very small bumps. So for instance, like when I was running tirzepatide during a cut phase, that tirzepatide going from, let's say on an insulin, if I was doing like a 20 mLs or something, going from 20 mLs to 22 mLs. So 2 mil, just two,
0.2.
Yeah, just a little.
0.02, really.
That would create a very significant difference. So when I'm talking about bumping up your dose, I'm talking about a tiny little adjustment to whatever dose you'd be using.
Yeah.
And if you're not on it and you want to get on it a couple weeks out or 3 weeks or 4 weeks out, again, depending on where you are, where your body composition is, what your goal is to go on vacation, you could even start a GLP like 4 weeks out from vacation, very low, very controlled, very, very side effect free starting point, and just run that up and through your vacation. And you could easily lose 6-8 pounds prior to vacation and then be in a nice place when you're on the vacation. But yeah, I'm talking a micro bump, like 0.1, 0.2. I'm not talking about doubling your dose or something. You're gonna
you'll be
bad
so
news.
sick.
You have to be very precise and aware with the GLPs because if you go too far, they will shut your food drive down and your ability to eat down entirely.
Yeah, you do really careful.
And there's some other bad stuff that can happen. So you just get tiny little bump.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's an advanced maneuver. Okay. And it was an accident, but I am putting it into my protocol. Okay. So let's talk about on vacation. So any tips or any hacks you ever use while you're on vacation? Because
I would say before, like through the years, my simple, it's always, I know this is going to sound really boring, but hydration is actually really like lots and lots of water. And there's studies around that because your brain actually shrinks while you're on a plane. And so you really need to have like a liter of water before, during, after. So it really makes a big difference because the air is very dry on the plane. But then going beyond that, glutathione. I really love glutathione. It's probably been one of my go-tos for a long time. And doing the liposomal. So taking that with you, doing it before you get on the plane, during, after, throughout your trip. I am really a big fan of doing like if you have access to this, is getting a little like more advanced, but doing, if you can, like a high dose IV vitamin C. I also really, really like, or an ozone therapy is fantastic because it's strong. It's really going to boost you up before you go. So that's what I tend to do, or at least I try to do that, or an IV glutathione push. So because I have access to these things, these are things that are easier for me to do, but you could have access to it too. Everybody can. You just have to go find it.
Yeah, you have to find a provider and have somebody plan for it. Some of that stuff takes a little bit of time. There's a cost and expense involved with that as well. That's part of it. I love that. No, it's really, really good. I think one of the keys that I brought this time around was I brought BP 157 in an oral form. And that I have found has been a phenomenal addition to my stack just for overall gut health and gut maintenance and just helping prevent upset tummies, or if you have travel issues, or if you have if your guts get all messed up and your bowel movements get all messed up. I found that the BP 157 can be very, very supportive orally in particular for those particular types of problems. And the other thing, and I've talked about this before, I think a secret kind of cool benefit, not secret, but nobody talks about this, but BP 157 definitely helps your body process alcohol. So like when it comes to alcohol damage mitigation, and I have a whole alcohol damage mitigation protocol that I've developed. So for everyone who loves to have some wine or have a cocktail now and then, and you're worried about like, how do you prevent some of that negative effects from alcohol, like a hangover, like getting fat, like having liver damage, like all of those things. That's what I've been working on. And it's cool because of that autoimmune condition. I've had to consistently get blood work done. So it's been really interesting to be able to see what different compounds can be used to help blunt some of the potential dangers and damage from alcohol. Now, this is not my recommendation for you to drink a bunch of alcohol. Kids, wait till you're 21. Be aware. Okay? It's a message from Coach. Okay, but no, here's with alcohol, I think alcohol is an interesting topic, and I'd love to do a whole deep dive into alcohol pros and cons, because there's a lot to talk about there.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Pros, it's a long list, all right? But if you're worried about that, if you are a person who enjoys to consume some quantity of alcohol and you would like to protect your body from it, a BP 157 oral can be really beneficial. And then a basic alcohol, kind of one of the alcohol defense tablets. So like something with a DHM in it, something that helps your body process some of the toxins, like a Cheers. So if you're familiar with Cheers, that's the big brand name product. And they built whatever, $500 million or $1 billion business on a pill that essentially helps prevent hangovers. There's a number of different knockoffs of that. I like one called Flyby on Amazon. It's like a fraction of the cost. And there's a couple other ones as well. But that is another powerful addition to your tool set when you're on vacation, especially if you know you're going to be poolside drinking the Mai Tais, or you're in Mexico and the margaritas are flowing, or you're in France and you're sipping on those delicious champagnes and Pinot Noirs. Bring the BP 157 and bring one of these alcohol mitigation tabs.
Yeah, and because they're pills, that makes it a whole lot easier than doing injections. And nicely, the BPC 157 will absorb almost just as well, like through oral, like through capsules, compared to you don't have to do a shot of it, which is great. Yeah,
it is. It's a game changer.
Yeah,
game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah,
yes.
AI,
that's the AI word.
AI loves that word so much, and now I love to use it just because AI loves to use it so much, and I actually hate the word, but So I think that the other you mentioned a really key topic, I think, around travel and peptides, and that's it's a huge pain in the ass.
Right.
So if you're not hardcore, I would 100% not bring any of your peptides, your injectable peptides.
The injectables. Yeah, if you can get away with it. And if you are going to be gone longer than a week and you're just like you're already on a GLP-1 and you really want to maintain that, taking one I think is doable, but it's hard because you have to keep them cold and you have to keep them refrigerated.
Yes, you have to keep it cold. There's the travel coldness, there's the storage when you're there coldness, depending on depending on what your refrigeration situation looks like. There's the bringing your needles, there's the sharps disposal situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors, and I almost did not bring my peptides, but then at the last minute I decided to bring all of them. And so I brought a lot of peptides on this trip, and it was awesome. And it can be done, but it definitely requires a little bit of planning and a little bit of preparation and just awareness around what type of situation where you're going to be staying and what you have access to.
Definitely planning. And I don't know. It sounds like it wasn't a problem, like getting through with needles and all of that.
No, I had all that stuff in my check bag.
Oh.
Of course, I had testosterone. I brought my testosterone. I bring if you're on a hormone replacement therapy or TRT or whatever, bring all that kind of stuff. So I did all my normal routine. I brought my normal morning power, like my power stack that I use for my morning to turn the brain on. I brought all that stuff. I essentially brought almost everything. I think on my social media, I took a picture of all the pills that I had. Yeah, that I brought. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And God bless my wife for her patience and ability to have a maniac like that who's brought literally, I don't know, probably 25 things on vacation. I had so many just bottles of supplements in my check bag and stuff. It was a little over the top. But it was great. It was really great. And so for the more couple other things here just to throw in the mix, I think if you're planning on working out, bring some packaged creatine. I would bring your packaged electrolytes. So the liquid IVs, I like the sugar-free ones, but the sugar ones are great too. There's this great creatine blend. I have to get the brand. I just started using it. So many other creatine manufacturers, they promise that this is the ultimate creatine that's ever been made. And I almost believe these guys. So I'll report back on what that creatine brand is, but creatine's another great one. Creatine's great for neural cognitive processing at higher doses. And if you're working out, it can just, again, great. I worked out a bunch when I was there and was on the treadmill a bunch and kept my normal, insane morning routine going the whole time I was in Hawaii. So, of course, I had my tesofensine. I had a variety of those kind of things. I had some other nootropics. I had my Torque stack from Cortex Labs. All of that, when you're going on vacation, and if you have a really good protocol, I encourage you to just keep your protocol going.
That's a great idea. Yeah, because it's very possible that I've noticed this personally because I have a whole other regimen outside of peptides, of vitamins and greens and chlorella and spirulina, and then I have methylene blue as well, and we haven't talked about that one yet. But I have a huge regimen, and I notice when I leave it behind, especially for a week, I feel it, right? If I don't have my Bs and my greens and all this stuff, so it makes a difference.
One more peptide I'll throw in the mix if you're going on a tropical or sun-oriented trip is the Melanotan. So I would highly recommend throwing some Melanotan 1 in the mix.
Did you do that one this last time?
I did do Melanotan.
You did?
This is my chance to try a peptide that I have not tried, and I'm going to try it. And so I tried the Melanotan, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was really nice. I did feel like it got a little bit more color than I normally get.
Yeah,
I still use sunscreen. I was still totally sunscreened up. So Scott, my derm, is watching this. Scott, I was sunscreened the whole time. Promise you, swear to God, I was. But the Melanotan was nice.
Yeah, you felt like you had more.
I felt like I had a little bit more. I felt like my body could handle the sun just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I felt like I definitely got more sun. I was at a super low dose, like the ultimate low dose on that because I had never used it before. So anytime I'm introducing a new peptide that I've never used, I will go with probably lower even than than I could have. I could have started a little bit at just,
Yeah.
you never know exactly how it's going to feel and what it's going to do. And I know some users with a Melanotan can experience some flushing or sometimes some headaches or various other things. And so I just always like to start really low with a new peptide. But yeah, I did think I came back with a little more color. I liked it.
You did.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to say, yeah.
So that's another one to throw in the mix. And I think that's really it. That's my stack that worked incredibly well. So the pre-GLP and then being on a GLP-1, and yeah, I felt fantastic the whole time, kept my workouts going, and I came back, I got leaner on the trip, and again, was not holding back, had incredible food, ate out literally for every meal, and had a blast, right? Had a blast and felt good, didn't overdo it, no headaches, no hangovers, nothing bad, only awesome goodness. And it really was because that power stack and those combination of the things was amazing for having fun, maintaining your goals, and really protecting your system.
And I think one thing we didn't talk about is sleep, like when you're on vacation. So that one's really nice. So I would say melatonin could be great to take with you. It's
I did bring
help
melatonin
you.
with.
Yeah, and actually it boosts your immune system too. And a lot of research that if you're doing higher doses, so say if you're getting sick, and your sleep's going to be disrupted because of your flight, or just hotels are really hard sometimes to sleep in. And you can go all the way up to 20 milligrams very safely.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I was doing between 10 and 20. And there's another, it's not a supplement. It's a peptide combo, small molecule, nootropic type deal. It's called Crash and Reboot. I was actually telling you about it prior to a couple days ago, but Crash and Reboot is a phenomenal nootropic supplement for shutting the brain down and putting it into a restorative sleep state.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And the other one I would throw in the mix that I've been running has been Saffron.
Yeah. What brand are you using for that?
I use Nootropic Depot.
Okay. Yeah, they're really good.
Nootropic Depot.
Yeah.
I'm not an affiliate, but I hopefully will be if they have a program.
Yes,
Nootropic Depot.
we will be. Yeah, right.
No, I love Nootropic Depot. I love Nootropic Depot. That's such an awesome company. They're also on Amazon, so it makes it really easy to track stuff down. Great prices, super high quality. They have a bunch of interesting, unusual stuff. So love those guys. Yeah, and that's the stack. And then on your way back home, again, just do that same routine with the sprays, with the zinc, all that same stuff with the Carbon 60. If you grab the Carbon 60 product, and I'll tell you what, implement some or all of these or a combo of these that makes sense to you. And I think what you're going to find is your next trip is even more incredible.
I love that. Yeah. I love the idea because I feel like when I go on vacation, because I don't tend to exercise as much. And then, you're eating out so much that I almost expect to be like, okay, I know I'm going to come back. I'm going to feel thrown off. I'm going to have gained a little bit of weight and it's going to be hard to get back in the gym and reestablish that protocol. And so I love that. I love that you did this experiment.
I did. Yeah. I highly recommend because that's basically has been every vacation I've ever taken up until now has been what you just described.
Yeah.
Coming back and it's just like feeling like, man, it was totally worth it. But God, 5 pounds or 7 pounds up on the scale. Some of that will fall off because it's blow, but I've had trips where it didn't fall off.
Yeah,
I've had trips where I was like,
me too.
It's gonna fall off. That's just some bloat. That's some travel day bloat. No, it wasn't. It was just straight up
pants.
Just gained body fat.
Yeah.
Just gained 4 or 5 pounds of body fat. And you can absolutely do that over a 7-10 day period. So there you go. I hope this helps. Again, follow, subscribe. If you got anything value out of this, you can, if you want Peptide Playbook, it's something you can hit on the site or maybe in the link below and grab the Peptide Playbook. It has all kinds of recommendations and dosing pieces on there. We have some other cool products that are coming to the market soon. Our Peptide Bible, which has a number of these peptide stacks that I talked about today and nootropic stacks that you can use. So yeah, follow along, get on our email list, subscribe. We're bunch of interesting stuff there. So
love to hear from you. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great. Yeah,
DM us,
love
follow
to
us
hear
on
from
social,
you.
do all the stuff.
Do all the things.
Become part of our community.
Yeah,
we want you here.
Love to have you. Yes.
Awesome. All right, until next time.
Okay, bye y'all.